Okay, cool. So we are live. So we are starting today with Isaiah 45. Well, we went over this one already, but I'm just going to come back to this one. So how do I let me move this up. Okay. So Isaiah 45 5, we have basically God basically declaring himself the only one. Okay. So it says, I am the Lord and there is no other. There is no God besides me. I will gird you through, though you have not known me. Okay. And from this, let me see, because I have a couple of things that I want to share, to be honest. Okay, so now we have Exodus. Now we have Exodus, and it says, this is chapter 3, I'm going to read verse 14 through 17. Okay. And God said to Moses, I am who I am. And he said, thus you shall say to the children of Israel, I am has sent me to you. Moreover, God said to Moses, thus you shall say to the children of Israel, the Lord God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob has sent me to you. This is my name forever, and this is my memorial to all generations. Go and gather the elders of Israel together and say to them, the Lord God of your fathers, the God of Abraham and Isaac, and of Jacob. Let me make this bigger. Okay. And of Jacob, where was I? Appeared to me, saying, I have surely visited you and seen what is done to you in Egypt. And I have said, I will bring you up out of the affliction of Egypt to the land of the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Amorites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, to a land flowing with milk and honey. So I want to get to, here we are. Okay. So this is actually a map of the land of all of these people, right? So this is the land of Canaan, which he is promising to all the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay. So I like this map because it actually shows you the migration of not only where the Israelites are, but also Abraham's journey as well. So first, we're going to start with looking at the Israelites. They're starting obviously in Egypt, and they're going all the way up into the land of Canaan. Okay. So this is the map. So the land of milk and honey, that basically refers to the Fertile Crescent. So basically meaning you're going to have animals, and also when it refers to honey, they're talking about the fact that this land also produces a lot of dates and also has a lot of bees. So those are just some fun facts. Okay. So I want to ask you guys, how much do you know about Abraham? Do you know why it says it shows Abraham's journey all the way from Babylonia all the way over here?
I can't remember why Abraham on the journey, but Abraham, all I really remember, what comes to mind is how he almost sacrificed Isaac, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, yeah.
But no, I don't. I don't know about his pilgrimage. Was that when he had to go and leave Sodom and Gomorrah?
No, this is actually a map of like his life, because Abraham was born in the city of Ur. So over here, all the way at the edge where it starts in Babylonia, that's where Abraham was born, actually. So then we see him come all the way down. So when you see right here, um, where he goes back and forth from where it says right here, like Hebron back into, over here where you see Ramses, and then he goes back to Beersheba. So that's the whole story of him going back and forth between Canaan and Egypt. So you see, so basically I'm pointing all of this out because I'm trying to show you guys the lineage of where these mythologies and stories come from. So we're starting with um where all of these stories in the Bible are happening and where they get their inspiration from. So if this is a book and the entire religion is based upon Abraham, we have to kind of get to know Abraham a little bit and his origins, right? So how could he be considered Hebrew if he came from Babylon? Technically, he came from Babylon, right? So if he came from Babylon, what was his thought process? What was his understanding of reality of the universe that he came to be in another land, and now he is the so-called founder of a whole new thought process? Um, and is it really different, right? Because I'm trying to get you to understand that with him being the one that starts with everything, we kind of get to see, you know, where these stories begin. So I'm going to go back to um this here, and let's see. So now let's get back to the scriptures. Which one is this? So this is Exodus here. And then next we have Psalm chapter 89, verses 9 through 11. So it says, "You rule the raging of the sea. When its waves rise, you still them. You have broken Rahab in pieces. So one who is slain, you have scattered your enemies with your mighty arm. The heavens are yours, the earth also is yours, the world and all its fullness, you have founded them." So verse 11, I highlighted it and I want to get back to it at the end, because once we get to the original text, a lot of this stuff comes from, it's going to be referenced in there, and I want you to remember it. So, but we're going to focus on 9 and 10 for now. And now what we're talking about is the him slaying the primordial sea. So now we're talking about Leviathan, okay? And I wanted to know, like, okay, this is what he did. Where's the story in which he actually did this? So let's read on. So it's also mentioned in Job 26. Okay. So Job 26 verses 12 to 14. He stirs up the sea with his power, and by his understanding he breaks up the storm. By his spirit he adorned the heavens. His hand perceived the fleeing serpent. Indeed, these are the mere edges of his ways, and how small a whisper we hear of him. So basically, they're basically saying that he actually did this. So his hand pierced the fleeing serpent. So now we're hearing that God slayed a serpent. So I'm looking for this story in its totality now. Okay, and they're saying how small a whisper we hear of him, as in we barely hear things about the God that we serve. We barely know anything about him. So the fact that they're telling us this, I would like to know, more of this story. So it says, "For God is my king from old." Sorry, this is Psalm 74. I'm moving quickly. This is Psalm 74, chapter let me see. Yeah, chapter 74, verses 12 through 14, and then 16 and 17. Okay? "For God is my king from of old, working salvation in the midst of the earth. You divided the sea by your strength. You broke the heads of the sea serpents in the waters. You broke the heads of Leviathan in pieces. The day is yours, the night also is yours. You have prepared the light and the sun. You have set all the borders of the earth. You have made summer and winter." That's important as well. Okay. So now we are seeing that God of the Bible slayed Leviathan. So let's get into that story, because these are all the scriptures. Yeah, these are pretty much all the scriptures in the Bible that speak about him doing this. So I think this is the last one. Yeah, this is the last one. So this is Isaiah 27, verse 1. "In that day, the Lord with his severe sword, great and strong, will punish Leviathan, the fleeing serpent, Leviathan, that twisted serpent, and he will slay the reptile that is in the sea." So I wanted to get you guys the actual original um, story of where this came from. And this is from you can find this actual occurrence happening in the Enuma Elish. Okay. So the Enuma Elish is the creation epic. Um, is the creation epic. There we go. These are the 7 tablets of creation from Sumeria, Babylonia, whatever you want to call it, right? And this is how it looks. So some of them are fragments, but this is cuneiform, which is translated into English. So we're going to be reading what this says today. We're going to focus on um, tablet 4. Tablet 4 is actually the occurrence of the slaying of the Leviathan, right? The serpent in the sea. But I want to start with tablet 1 first, so you can kind of understand the characters in this particular mythology. Okay. So the characters in this mythology is different, but I'm bringing these to you so you can see the correlation, and also you can kind of see um, which form the God of the Bible takes based off of this story. Okay. So, so this is the Enuma Elish. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, put the PDF in the chat. Of course, you guys can read it by yourselves. Did any of you read this already? The Enuma Elish? Angel, you said you read it.
Yeah, I read it.
You read the whole thing? So you know it was in here already.
For the most part, yeah. It's not too different from the canon, right?
Mm-hmm.
From my memory, it's not too different, but
Yeah.
obviously, you know how
Yeah,
they like
yeah.
to do.
It's interesting because, well, the reason why I wanted, to bring Vashti here because she was here last week. And in last week, we kind of introduced the characters of the Babylonian family. So you kind of understand who is who. And they're mentioned also in here. So while I'm going through the first tablet, because the first tablet introduces everything, right? So the first tablet will give us an idea of what's going on, the story behind the battle. So I don't want to just go straight to the battle. I want to get to why there's a battle in the first place. Okay, so we're gonna read tablet 1, but also I want you to see the family tree, what we got going on. So here's the family tree that's happening. So it starts with Apsu and Tiamat, okay? And then you have their creations after that. So this is obviously the Anunnaki. I want you guys to take a good look at it because I'm going to end up going back to the text and reading that. So this is going to be a prominent factor, these people right here along this line, and these will come in later on, all of these over here. So let's get back to the text. Okay. You know I'm blind. Okay. So when in the height heaven was not named, and the earth beneath did not yet bear a name, and the primeval Apsu who begat them, and chaos, Tiamat, the mother of them both. Their waters were mingled together, and no field was formed, and no marsh was to be seen. When the gods, none had been called into being, and none bore a name, and no destinies were ordained, then were created the gods in the midst of heaven. So, first and foremost, Apsu is fresh water, and Tiamat is salt water. Just to get that out the way. Lamu and Lahamu were called into being. Ages increased. Then Ansar and Kesar were created, and over them long were the days. Then there came forth Anu, their son, Ansar and Anu, and the god Anu knew Demid, whom his fathers, his begetters, abounding in all wisdom, he was exceeding strong. He was so first of all, when I'm reading this, when you see certain parts missing, it's because that is the part of the tablet that is broken. So some of the words are just cut off or not there. Some lines are missing. So whenever you're reading Sumerian text, that's usually how it's read, how it's translated. So it says, then Ansar and Kesar were created, and over them long were the days. Then there came forth Anu their son, Ansar and Anu, and the god Anu knew Demid, whom his fathers, his begetters, abounding in all wisdom. He was exceeding strong. He had no rival. Thus were established and were the great gods. But Tiamat and Apsu were still in confusion. They were troubled and in disorder. Apru was not diminished in might, and Tiamat roared. She smote and their deeds. Their way was evil. Then Apsu, the begetter of the great gods, cried unto Mumu, his minister, and said unto him, O Mumu, thou minister that rejoiceth my spirit, come unto Tiamat, let us go. So they went, and before Tiamat they lay down. They consulted on a plan with regard to the gods, their sons. Apsu opened his mouth and spake. And unto Tiamat, the glistening one, he addressed the word, their way. By day I cannot rest. By night I cannot lie down in peace. But I will destroy their way, I will. Let there be lamentation, and let us lie down again in peace. When Tiamat heard these words, she raged and cried aloud. She grievously She uttered a curse, and unto Apsu she spake, "What then shall we do? Let their way be made difficult, and let us lie down again in peace." Before I continue, what do you guys think is happening at the moment? I want to make sure you understand what's happening. Oh, anyone can go. That was a question. Oh, she dropped down. She dropped down. Angel, are you there? Oh, okay. I shall continue. Let's see. Let's finish this up. Device is not connected. Is it broken? Oh,
Okay, can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, that was weird. It like completely kicked me out.
Yeah, I think that happened with both of you. I'm not sure if hers is connecting. You see it's buffering.
But I was gonna say it reminds me, like this part always reminds me more of like the Gnostic Gospels when it explains like the original creator, and
Mm-hmm.
then like how there's a separation between the offspring that have a more evil or sinister intent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then I don't know, when I really look at it objectively, I think it can be perceived more as just different as opposed to even evil.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of like as a parent, if my child strays from what I want them to do, I can feel like it's wrong just because it's not of me, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's a polarity that's created here, which I was gonna
Yes.
say, I think like what really stands out differently about the Sumerian mythologies is that the use of personification
Mm-hmm.
for the deities is present. Whereas like I think in the canon Bible, it tells almost the same story, but they take all the personification out so that they can push the like one God agenda, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
But I
pretty
think
much.
I think there's like a creation of duality, like negative and positive, evil and good, that's
Mm-hmm.
happening here.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm hearing.
Hmm.
And it's crazy you mentioned the Gnostic Bibles because we started out, that was week 1 through 4, I believe. where I kind of like we went through we started in Genesis, right? So basically we was asking, well, we started in Proverbs to figure out who is wisdom. And then after that, after we figure out who wisdom was, then we ended up understanding who Yahweh was, or the God of the Bible. So we basically had to go into the Gnostic text to understand who the God of the Bible is, and his family and his origins, and how he came to be. So we did that first. And so yeah, we went all over that. And the PDF is inside you know, the whatchamacallit, the group chat. But yeah. Um Mahakali, you want to add what you're hearing so far?
Connectivity issues, but
Hmm.
I I know much about Tiamat, so I don't know much about the background story other than it being ancient Babylonian, Mesopotamian history. And but I always heard that her children slayed her
Hmm.
uh, because she found out they were trying to slay their father, and the material world was formed or something like that. But I don't know.
Oh well, you know the story, girl. You know
I heard
the
a little
story.
bit.
You know what's happening.
But
You
you
know,
had
certain people. What you said?
Oh no, go ahead.
No, I was saying people they know the story, but it's like I don't think most people know like why all of that happened. Like why was there a battle in the first place? Like why
And that's what
did
I was saying before I got my
yeah
phone cut off. I don't know where the chaos came from or why evil was born in the first place. And that's kind of because I missed a couple weeks in the last study that we were talking about that, about how that just was formed, through the chaos of how Sophia.
Yeah, Sophia. And we're gonna get back to Sophia actually. We paused her story for a minute, but we're gonna get back to her bloodline in a second. Probably in a few seconds. We're gonna circle back. But yeah, so let's continue with this. Basically, what's happening is when he first says, let there be lamentation and then we can lie in peace, he's basically saying, because lamentation is basically grief, crying out, weeping, right? He's basically saying that he wants to kill his kids so that they can rest because the kids are tumultuous. They're making too much noise. And when he says their ways are evil, he just means that they being kids, basically. They being kids. They're loud, they're playing around, and it's not peaceful anymore for him to sleep or do his work or whatever. So he consulted his minister, and his minister is basically like, oh yeah, you should kill them, they're evil. And he went to his wife Tiamat like, yeah, I think this is what we should do. And she's like, well, why would we do that? That's our kids. Why don't we just discipline them instead of killing them, and then we can rest after we have disciplined them. So when she's saying let their way be made difficult and let us lie down again in peace, that's what she means by let their way be made difficult rather than killing them. Mumu answered, Mumu is the minister of Apsu, and gave counsel unto Apsu. And hostile to the gods was the counsel Mumu gave. Come, their way is strong, but thou shalt destroy it. Then by day shalt thou have rest, by night shalt thou lie down in peace. Apsu hearkened unto him, and his countenance grew bright. Since he, Mumu, planned evil against the gods, his sons, he was afraid. His knees became weak. They gave way beneath him because of the evil which their firstborn had planned. There they altered, they lamentation, they sat in sorrow. Then Ea, who knoweth all that is, went up, and he beheld their muttering. So now we're in a space where we're getting a new character. Ea is right here. So this Enki and Ea is the same person. So he is the southern sky god, okay? And he's basically hearing what the ultimate mother and father is talking about with their ministers. So I think let me see. This one might be better because it gives you everybody in the family tree, right? So we have here, oops, open, where was I? Okay, so we have here Apsu, Tiamat, and you see Mumu is his priest, right? Lamu, Lahamu, Kingu, Ansar, Kishar, right? All these people, these are all the children of Apsu and Tiamat, okay? So now we're being introduced to Ea, which is Enki or New Demid, okay? Hope I'm saying that right. New Demud, right? New Demid. Okay, so this is Ea. This is the one who's hearing them have this council and deliberation and talk about everything. So, okay, let's get back to where we was. I just wanted to show the family tree one more time. Okay. Then Ea, who knoweth all that is, went up, and he beheld their muttering. He spake, Thy he hath conquered, and he weepeth and sitteth in tribulation of fear. We shall not lie down in peace. Apsu is laid waste. So even though this is all fragmented, you need to focus on that particular part where it says Apsu is laid waste. Okay. And Mumu, who were taken captive in. So now we see what's actually happening here. Okay, so we shall not lie down in peace, as in he's going to fight his father. Apsu is laid waste, and Mumu is taken captive. Let us lie down in peace. They will smite. Let us lie down in peace. Thou shalt take vengeance for them. Unto the tempest shall thou. And Tiamat hearkened unto the word of the bright God and said, Shall thou entrust? Let us wage war. So basically, now what's happening is Tiamat is upset because they killed her husband. Okay. Her child killed his father, which is her husband. So now she's mad. So it says, the gods in the midst of, for the gods did she create. They banded themselves together, and at the side of Tiamat they advanced. They were furious. They devised mischief without resting, night and day. They prepared for battle, fuming and raging. They joined their forces and made war. Hubur, Tiamat, who formed all things, made in addition weapons invincible. She spawned monster serpents, sharp of tooth and merciless of fang. With poison instead of blood, she filled their bodies. Fierce monster vipers she clothed with terror. With splendor she decked them, she made them of lofty stature. Whoever beheld them, terror overcame them. Their bodies reared up, and none could withstand their attack. She set up vipers and dragons, and the monster Lahamu, and hurricanes and raging hounds, and scorpion men, and mighty tempests, and fishmen and rams. They bore cruel weapons without fear of the fight. Her commands were mighty, none could resist them. After this fashion, huge of stature, she made 11 kinds of monsters. Among the gods who were her sons, inasmuch as he had given her support, she exalted Kingu in their midst. She raised him to power, to march before the forces, to lead the host, to give the battle signal, to advance to the attack, to direct the battle, to control the fight. Unto him she entrusted, oops, unto him she entrusted, where was I lost it. In costly raiment she made him sit, saying, I have uttered thy spell in the assembly of the gods. I have raised thee to power. The dominion over all the gods have I entrusted unto him. Be thou exalted, thou my chosen spouse. May they magnify thy name over all them, the Anunnaki. She gave him the tablets of destiny. On his breast she laid them, saying, Thy command shall not be without avail, and the word of thy mouth shall be established. Now Kingu, thus exalted, having received the power of Anu, decreed the fate among the gods his sons, saying, let the opening of your mouth quench the fire god, whoso is exalted in the battle, let him display his might. Tiamat made weighty her handiwork. Evil she wrought against the gods, her children. To avenge Apsu, Tiamat planned evil. But how she had collected her forces, the god unto Ea divulged. Ea hearkened to this thing, and he was grievously afflicted, and he sat in sorrow. The days went by, and his anger was appeased, and to the place of Ansar his father he took his way. Okay, so we're gonna stop here for a second, and we're going to skip all the way now to tablet 4, which is actually the battle. So now that we've read tablet 1, we see, we actually see the reason why there's a battle in the first place. The reason why there's a battle in the first place. So basically, the whole thing started with the father, Apsu, right? He felt like he couldn't rest because the kids was too loud and he wanted to get rid of them. And again, he wanted to get rid of them because his minister said that you should. Not, it wasn't a thought of his own. It was something that he was impressed upon, right? So then after she disagreed, she said, let's just, discipline them instead. What happened was, because Ea heard everything, he went back and told his siblings and everybody, like, oh, they planning to kill us, so let's kill our father. So he decided to kill his father, right? And now she's mad because she don't got her husband no more. So what she does is she exalts one of her sons, Kingu, to be her new consort. Okay, so now he's going to be the one that's going to lead this battle against her other kids who decided to kill her previous husband. So now we're at the part where we are reading the actual battle itself. Okay, this is the actual battle. Okay. Let me bring this. Okay. They prepared for him a lordly chamber. Before his fathers, as prince, he took his place. Thou art chiefess among the great gods. Thy fate is unequaled, thy word is Anu. O Marduk, thou art chiefess among the great gods. Thy fate is unequaled, thy word is Anu. Henceforth, not without avail shall be thy command. In thy power shall it be to exalt and to abase. Established shall be the word of thy mouth. Irresistible shall be thy command. None among the gods shall transgress thy boundary. Abundance, the desire of the shrines of the gods, shall be established in thy sanctuary, even though they lack offerings. O Marduk, thou art our avenger. We give thee sovereignty over the whole world. Sit thou down in might, be exalted in thy command. Thy weapon shall never lose its power, it shall crush thy foe. O Lord, spare the life of him that putteth his trust in thee. But as for the God who began the rebellion, pour out his life. Then set they in their midst a garment, and unto Marduk, their firstborn, they spoke. May the fate, O Lord, be supreme among the gods, to destroy and to create. Speak thou the word, and thy command shall be fulfilled. Command now and let the garment vanish, and speak the word again and let the garment reappear. Then he spake with his mouth, and the garment vanished. And again he commanded it, and the garment reappeared. When the gods, his fathers, beheld the fulfillment of this word, he rejoiced, and they did homage unto him, saying, Marduk is king. They bestowed upon him the scepter and the throne and the ring. They give him an invincible weaponry which overwhelmed the foe. Go and cut off the life of Tiamat, and let the wind carry her blood into sacred places. After the gods, his fathers had decreed for the Lord his fate, they caused him to set out on a path of prosperity and success. He made ready the bow. He chose his weapon. He slung a spear upon him and fastened it. He raised the club in his right hand. He grasped it. The bow and the quiver he hung at his side. He set the lightning in front of him. With burning flame, he filled his body. He made a net to enclose the inwards parts of Tiamat. The four winds he stationed so that nothing of her might escape. The south wind and the north wind and the east wind and the west wind he brought near to the net, the gift of his father Anu. He created the evil wind and the tempest and the hurricane, and the four wind and the sevenfold wind and the whirlwind and the wind which had no equal. He set forth the winds which he had created, the seven of them, to disturb the inward parts of Tiamat. They followed after him. Then the Lord raised the thunderbolt, his mighty weapon. He mounted the chariot, the storm unequaled for terror. He harnessed and yoked unto it 4 horses, destructive, ferocious, overwhelming, and swift of pace. This is reminding me of Revelation. Honestly, the 4 winds and the 4 horses and everything. I probably should end up going over it and see the correlation to this because it's sounding the same. Were their teeth, they were flecked with foam. They were skilled they had been trained to trample underfoot, mighty in battle, left and right. His garment was. He was clothed with terror. With overpowering brightness, his head was crowned. Then he set out. He took his way, and toward the raging Tiamat he set his face. On his lips he grasped in his hand. Then they beheld him, the gods beheld him. The gods, his fathers beheld him, the gods beheld him. And the Lord drew nigh. He gazed upon the inward parts of Tiamat. He perceived the muttering of Kingu, her spouse. As Marduk gazed, Kingu was troubled in his gait. His will was destroyed and his motions ceased. And the gods, his helpers, who marched by his side, beheld their leaders, and their sight was troubled. But Tiamat, she turned not her neck. With lips that failed not, she uttered rebellious words. Thy coming as lords of the gods. From their places have they gathered. In thy place are they? Then the Lord raised the thunderbolt, his mighty weapon, and against Tiamat, who was raging, thus he sent the word. Thou art become great, thou hast exalted thyself on high, and thy heart hath prompted thee to call to battle. Their fathers, there thou hatest. Thou hast exalted Kingu to be thy spouse. Thou hast him that even as Anu, he should issue decrees. Thou hast followed after evil, and against the gods, my fathers, thou have contrived thy wicked plan. Let then thy host be equipped. Let thy weapons be girded on. Stand, I and thou, let us join battle. When Tiamat heard these words, she was like one possessed. she lost her reason. Tiamat uttered wild, piercing cries. She trembled and shook to her very foundations. She recited an incantation. She pronounced her spell. And the gods of the battle cried out for their weapons. They advanced Tiamat and Marduk, the counselor of the gods. To the fight they came on, to the battle they drew nigh. The Lord spread out his net and caught her, and the evil wind that was behind him he let loose in her face. As Tiamat opened her mouth to its full extent, he drove in the evil wind, while as yet she had not shut her lips. The terrible winds filled her belly, and her courage was taken from her, and her mouth she opened wide. He seized the spear and burst her belly. He severed her inward parts. He pierced her heart. He overcame her and cut off her life. He cast down her body and stood upon it. He when B had slain Tiamat the leader, her might was broken, her host was scattered, and the gods, her helpers, who marched by her side, trembled and were afraid and turned back. They took the flight to save their lives, but they were surrounded so that they could not escape. He took them captive. He broke their weapons. In the net they were caught, and in the snare they sat down. Of the world they filled with cries of grief. They received punishment from him. They were held in bondage. And on the 11 creatures which she had filled with the power of striking terror, upon the troop of devils who marched at her, he brought affliction. Their strength be them, and their opposition he trampled under his feet. Moreover, Kingu, who had been exalted over them, he conquered, and with the dog he counted them. He took from him the tablets of destiny that were not rightly his. He sealed them with a seal, and in his own breast he laid them. Now, after the hero Marduk had conquered and cast down his enemies, he had made the arrogant foe even like, and had fully established Ansar's triumph over the enemy. He had attained the purpose of Nu Demud. Over the captive gods he strengthened his durance, and unto Tiamat, whom he had conquered, he returned. And the Lord stood upon Tiamat's hinder parts, and with his merciless club, he smashed her skull. He cut through the channels of her blood, and he made the north wind bear it away into secret places. His fathers beheld, and they rejoiced and were glad. Presents and gifts they brought unto him. Then the Lord rested, gazing upon her dead body, while he divided the flesh of thee and devised a cunning plan. He split her up like a flat fish into two halves. One half of her he established as a covering for heaven. He fixed a bolt, he stationed a watchman, and bade them not to let their waters come forth. He passed through the heavens, he surveyed the regions thereof, and over against the deep he set the dwelling of Nu Demud. And the Lord measured the structure of the deep, and he founded Sarah, a mansion like unto it. The mansion Sarah, which he created as heaven, he caused Anu, Bel, and Ea in their districts to inhabit. He, Marduk, made the stations for the great gods, the stars, their images as the stars of the zodiac he fixed. He ordained the year, and into sections he divided it. For the 12 months he fixed 3 stars. After he had the days of the year images, he found the station of Nibiru, the planet Jupiter, to determine their bounds, that none might go astray. He set the station of Bel and Ea along with him. He opened great gates on both sides. He made strong the boat on the left and on the right. In the midst thereof, he fixed the zenith. The moon god he caused to shine forth. the night he entrusted to him. He appointed him a being of the night to determine the days. Every month without ceasing, with the crown he covered him, saying, at the beginning of the month, when thou shinest upon the land, thou commandest the horns to the determined 6 days. And on the 7th day, to divide the crown. On the 14th day, thou shalt stand opposite the half. When the sun god on the foundation of heaven, thou shalt cause to, and thou shalt make his unto the path of the sun god. That God shall thou cause to draw nigh. And on the day thou shalt stand opposite, and the sun god shall to transverse her way. Thou shalt cause to draw nigh, and thou shalt judge the right to destroy. So this particular portion is talking about the moon and the sun. So kind of like going back into Genesis, where God says that he created 2 lights to rule the day, one brighter and one lesser, as in the sun and the moon. So this is what he's talking about. So he's basically talking about the sun and the moon. But what he starts with is he basically assigns the moon god his phases, right? So starting full, and then him, moving across the sky to eventually give way to the sun god. So basically, you go across the sky at night, and then the other god will do the day. So here we can kind of see, where we have, so this right here is the moon god. Nanar, or Sin. This is the moon god right here. And this is Marduk over here. So obviously Marduk is the one who gave all of the gods their domain and their roles and duties and things of that nature after he won over Tiamat. Okay. So that's what we see here. That's why we have this here. So going back to our scripture, we actually see the whatchamacallit, what actually happened, the battle. Okay. So in the battle, we see exactly what happened. So he ended up filling her with an evil wind, and then he threw his spear through her belly. Okay. And that's after he shot his arrow into her mouth, right? So this is how she's actually dying. Okay. And from her being dead, he saw her dead body, and what he wanted to do was break her in half, or split her as a flat fish, and half of her body is the heavens and the other half is the earth. Okay. And so let me see if I can show you what's going on. So this is what we're seeing. Hold on. So this is the story of Marduk and his mom, Tiamat. So you can see him throwing the spear into her. Like, this is obviously artwork that is it's not exactly accurate because it's very personified into humans, obviously. But the spear is going through her, and that's pretty much how she dies. And you can see the net here, and that's what caught her, which is what made him be able to kill her in the first place. So so you see they're actually in the midst of the ocean. So you see the water around, and then you see the serpent around her. So because the artist decided to depict them as human beings, he still puts the elements in there so we can kind of know who we are talking about. So as you can see, Marduk has the scepter here. He has his bow and quiver, all of that. Okay, so I did want to show you this artwork because I'm a visual learner. I like to see things. Okay. So remember the part where they said that he stands on his enemies. So this is actually a picture of Marduk. Okay. Um, and on his clothes, what you see is constellations or the zodiac, because he's the one who created the zodiac. So this is on his clothes, and on underneath him, who he's standing on, underneath him you see waters, and then who he's standing on is Tiamat. So this is the serpent that we're seeing right here. Okay, which is what he's standing on. So it shows his dominance over them. It shows his ability to conquer Tiamat. Okay, so this is how he showed he was able to conquer her. Okay, so this is the famous depiction of this particular battle. And I know everybody has seen this, right? Everybody has seen this, but this is pretty much it. So this is the serpent personified, where now she actually has a mouth for the arrow to go into and things of that nature. Okay. So I want to show you guys this. Okay, so there was a part that I want to go real quick. Okay. So, and unto Tiamat, whom he had conquered, he returned, and the Lord stood upon Tiamat's hinder parts. So, yeah, that's him standing on top of her. Okay. Okay. Now, there's so much to, what happens with her. But when we are looking at different things, they say that her tears is the Tigris and the Euphrates rivers. So the Tigris and the Euphrates, those are Tiamat's tears. And obviously the earth itself is her body, is the bottom part of her body, and the top part of her body is the heavens. Okay? So this is the story of Mesopotamia. So all of this right here, this is where this story comes from. So when we go back to so when they say in Psalm 74, verse 12, when they say, "For God is my king from old," they're really speaking about Marduk, because Marduk was the king of that time. Because once, I don't know if you guys remember, but before he actually started the battle, in order to get him prepared for battle, they had to exalt him to the power of Anu. Basically, Anu is the sky god, right? So they had to give him, bestow him the power of Anu, so that he can be able to be ready for this battle. So he ends up becoming king. So again, the Enuma Elish, with all of this, tablet 4 and everything, tablet 7 is actually them paying homage to him and everything he did. And this was actually during the time, was it the 1700 BC? Hold on. What year was it? Okay, yeah, 1792 to 1750. So 1792 to 1750 is when Marduk was the most prominent god in Babylon. Okay, so this is the story of his glory, of him coming into power, of him becoming a king, right? So because now he is the most dominant god of that time in that region, this is his epic, this is his story. And so when they say, "For God is my king from the old," when they're talking about old, they're talking about the old gods, right? I know you've heard that term before, like the old gods. Usually when people are talking about the old gods, they mean before all Abrahamic religions. So just keep that in mind. So when he says you divided the sea by your strength, you broke the heads of the sea serpents in the water. So when it says you divided the sea by your strength, they're talking about the part where he actually splits her like a flat fish and divided her bottom half of her body and the top half of her body, as in the bottom half is the earth, the top part is the heavens and the firmament, right? And then it says you broke the heads of the sea serpents in the waters. So when he stood on her and he smashed her skull, that's what they're really talking about, and they're saying it here in Psalms. So it says you broke the heads of Leviathan in places. So again, Leviathan is the sea serpent, and they're telling you exactly who they're talking about. Okay. So down here, when it says the day is yours, the night also is yours, remember directly after the battle, the very first thing he started to do was give all the gods their domains and their roles and things of that nature. And the very first thing he did was give the moon and the sun their roles and things to do. So that's why they're saying the day is yours, the night also is yours, because you're the one that gave them their command. You have prepared the light and the sun. You have set all the borders of the earth. You have made summer and winter. So all of that goes back to the very end of the tablet, the fifth tablet, basically. So the fifth tablet is speaking directly to Psalms. So he ordained the year, and into sections he divided it, right? So that's basically giving us our seasons, our months. For the 12 months, he fixed 3 stars. So he basically did all this after he had the days of the year images. Okay. So he did all of this. So really and truly, when you look at Psalm 74, 12 through 17, you're reading about Marduk, not Yahweh. Technically, that's what's happening. So same thing with Job 26. They're basically recounting these things. So he stirs up the sea with his power, and by his understanding, he breaks up the storm. So breaking up the storm is Tiamat, because now she's raging. Remember, they said she lost all reason. So now she's raging, and he breaks her up. By his spirit, he adorned the heavens. So now he is the God who have given us our stars, our constellations. His hand pierced the fleeing serpent. So that's the spear going into her belly. Indeed, these are the mere edges of his ways, and how small a whisper we hear of him. So again, they're noticing that they're only learning barely anything about the God that they're serving, that they have to serve now. So this is them acknowledging, like, wow, how little do we know about him for real. You rule the raging of the sea, right? When its waves rise, you still them. You have broken Rehab in pieces, and as one who is slain, you have scattered your enemies with your mighty arm. See, so they're repeating it. So same thing in Psalms 89, 9 through 11. It's the same story, but being repeated. So notice how all of these are recurrent. You know what I mean? So, yeah, what are your thoughts, girl? What are your thoughts? Hold on. You should. Oh, you have to unmute. Okay, yeah.
It's just so crazy. But immediately I started to think,
It went off. That's crazy. How would it go off like that? Let me see. Let me get it. Okay. Okay,
My
you're back.
bad. I was
You're back.
asking.
I'm sorry.
No, it's totally my fault.
Technical
I'm fighting.
difficulty.
Yeah, I'm fighting a baby over here. But
Hey, baby.
is there any correlation between Yahweh and Marduk?
This is the correlation. That's basically what I'm
So
showing you, because Yahweh, they're basically in all these books, in Job, Isaiah, and Psalms. They're basically talking about the mightiness of God, right? This is what they're talking to the people about. And remember, in Isaiah, the first thing he said was, there's no God besides me, right? So that's the first thing he's
right,
saying.
that is
And
what
then
he
Moses
said.
is introducing them as I am who I am, right? From him talking to the bush. So
Mm-hmm.
from there, he's talking to the bush, and the bush is God talking to him, basically saying, I am the one, right?
Right,
And basically, I am the one who is promising you the holy land of Canaan, right?
right,
So now they're supposedly going to Canaan, but also they're being told how mighty God is, right? How mighty God is in comparison to the frailty of mortals, right? So he is
yeah,
mighty, and he has the ability. Not only does he have the ability to slay mighty monsters of the sea, he did it, right? So
right.
they're telling him, or the Israelites is being told, that he slayed a mighty monster, right? They're basically saying he did it, but really and truly, since Abraham, right? Since Abraham hailed from the city of Ur, right?
That's right. In Babylonian.
Basically saying a story that he, like Moses is, he's the story was passed down through the line, right? But the
Mm,
story really came from Abraham's ancestry. That's
I
where this
see.
came from.
I
So now
see.
they're
I
talking
see.
about God
Okay, that
did
makes
this.
sense. That
Yeah,
makes
like God
sense.
did
Right.
this, but Marduk is the story they're saying that God did.
Right. Right. And with
Yeah,
Yahweh being the God of the Bible, this was way before the Bible was even.
right, exactly.
Gotcha.
So this is right here. Hopefully you can see it, but right here, all
Mm-hmm.
the way up to the right, you see order. This is the city of order right here. Um, and the city of Ord
Yeah,
is
I
the
see
beginning of Abraham. And what we also have is Babylon. This is the tree of the Mediterranean, the Mesopotamian gods. This is their pantheon. It's not a one god situation. It's a
it. Right.
many god type of mythology. Okay,
I see. I see. I see.
so many god mythology. I think this one has a better thing. You can see them better. Okay, so this is all
Right.
the people that we
And now everybody, all of them are siblings, right? Like
yeah, they're
Marduk
all
and Enki
yeah.
and Enlil.
Yes, they're all siblings. Um, so Enki is Ea, right? He's actually the god of the earth. Enlil and where's the other one? Anu. Anu is the father god. Okay, so those three are actually the main three gods of the Mesopotamian pantheon. Okay, Ninhursag is obviously his sister. So they have a kid, which is Marduk, which is down here. So this is Marduk right here to the left.
Okay.
And he is basically, a child. All of these people, they're all a part of a family tree. They, as you can tell, uh They just, sisters, brothers,
Yeah.
how mythologies do. Like,
Oh yeah. It's just so crazy because it's like for all the people who have dysfunctional families, and it seems so strange how normal it is for everybody.
yeah,
And when
yeah,
you think about
absolutely.
it was always that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
So,
I thank you because I remember finding information about Tiamat and just trying to find
mhm,
where that mother wound comes from. Now that
mhm.
I'm a mom, and it's just like wow, but I can never connect the dots between it all.
Yeah, no, it continue. I feel like this is a reoccurring thing so far. Like from the beginning, we started talking about Sophia or Barbello, right? And her issue with
Right,
her kid and her bloodline, right? And then
right.
we went into the goddess Nintu. Now, the goddess Nintu, you missed last week. That's when we learned about the goddess Nintu in the Epic of Atrahasis, right?
Okay.
So Nintu, let me see if I can show you because in here you can kind of see. Hold on, let me bring it up because Nintu is
What's
in
this?
here. She's in here.
Let's
Where
see.
is she? Where is she? Um,
Is she down here? Let's see.
Ninurta. I think Ninurta and Nintu is the same person. You know how the names change,
Mm-hmm.
um, depending on dialects. So whenever an empire is overthrown, right after Babylon was Acadia Empire, and they kind of start changing up the names. Okay, so that's what happens.
Oh, right
So
now.
if I'm reading this correctly, then right here, Ninurta, this should be Nintu right here. No, I
Okay.
think it's Ninhursag,
Oh
Ninma,
yeah, I'll
Nin.
brush your hair in just a second. Oh, I see. I see right there.
Yeah, so that one, she's the
She's
one
another
who
sibling.
created humans, right?
She's the one
Um,
that what?
that created humans.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, according to Atrahasis, right? According to that particular book. And when it came down to it, we talked about the flood. Okay, so Enki is in there. Enki is the one who
Was the snake,
created the
right?
flood.
I mean the serpent in the Garden of Eden.
The serpent in the Garden of Eden is, well, he's not on here. It's not on here.
Oh, okay. I always thought it was
Yeah,
in here in there. I forget which one.
yeah.
But I brief
So I'm
yeah,
just looking at
yeah.
all these people, but also their names tend to change, so it's hard to remember everything. But
Right.
yeah, so we have
Put that water
Enki
back.
here. We also, I can't wait to keep going because now what I'm seeing is Lilith over here, right? Because notice how people, I think somebody asked me, I forgot who it was, but somebody asked me one of these weeks. They was like, "Oh, when do Lilith come in the Hebrew story?" And I'm like, "You got to give me a second because it's
Right,
not
because
in
y'all
the
don't never see
Bible."
them talk about her.
Right. She's not in the Bible and she's not in the Gnostic Gospels either. But now we found her. She's in the Sumerian epic, the Babylonian epic. You see?
You
You see how
spraying
she's
all
a
the
part of the
carpet up.
family? She is the daughter of Ereshkigal and Nergal.
Come on, Lord.
So you see, so
That,
now she pops up. So now when we see the Hebrew, the tombs, and they're talking about Lilith, now we know where all this stuff comes from. So really and truly, Judaism is a child of Babylonian myth. Really and
stop before
truly,
you make that fall down.
because why do they talk about a particular character that's not even mentioned in its
Right.
canon? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I had a lot of questions, especially with just Babylon kind of always or negative connotations in the Bible.
Yeah. Well, it has to. It has to. Because why would you exalt something that came before you? Remember, in Isaiah
Right.
45, God is trying to establish himself as the one and only God of everything, and there is no other God. That's what he's trying to establish. So that means that everything else is blasphemous, everything else is horrible. Even if you come
Right.
across something that mentions who I am inspired by, such as Marduk, oh, he's a
Right.
false god, he's fake. Instead of just saying, oh, that's who I'm inspired by your forefather Abraham. He could say that, but he's not going to say that.
No, I need the hair box.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, but that's all the scripture I have for today.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I'm gonna catch up on the stuff that I haven't read yet.
What you said,
Um,
say it again. You was
I,
breaking
I'm
up.
gonna I'm gonna catch up on the past reads that I've been that I haven't read yet.
Yeah. I'm gonna start recording these because people, when you miss it, you're missing parts of the story. Like, you know what I mean?
Right,
So
right.
I'm gonna start recording these, which is why I recorded today. But I'm gonna start recording so that you guys can catch up much easier.
Okay. Thank you, thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. You know,
I'll be here on time next week.
okay, okay, great. You enjoy the rest of your day. I'll talk to you
Thank
soon.
you. You too. Have a great week also.
Yes, have a great week.
Okay.
As an
All right,
I.
I'm out of here.
All right. Okay. This is it. Oh, this was nice. This was nice. I love it. Hopefully, you know, we can get some more of you guys next week. But I want to make sure this is obviously I'm gonna have to like re-record the beginning weeks because this is actually week 6. Okay, this is week 6, and I want to make sure we're continuing along with the storyline. They may seem unrelated at times, but they are related. Just like last week was the flood and how we were introduced to, the Mesopotamian pantheon of family. Now we're also it's getting more intricate now. Now we're seeing the beginning of the Mesopotamian family now. So I'm excited. So yes, next time, stay tuned, guys. So next week we will be meeting the same place. I'll put the link in the group chat. Next week we'll be meeting Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, which is 3 p.m. Central, which is 2 p.m. Mountain Time. It's probably like 1 or 12 Pacific, I forget. But yeah, do your best to do your best to show up, and I'll see you all soon. As an I.